Okay, just a little over an hour until reset, and I am not close enough, to be perfectly honest. At least I get to go second. And a mulligan. Gosh, this is just a common theme here. And this is even with 2 copies of Volcanion, 2 copies of Latias. And we start the Magmar, collect Magmar. And that's about it. Ooh, Badoo and Duskull on the other side. And Dreepy, so it's another Dragapult. I feel like I've been seeing a lot of these the last few days. But it's definitely a winnable matchup, especially since Dragapult has that magic 320, which is perfect for burn plus roasting heat. And I get another Pokegear, so I have 2 chances to grab an Arven. Let's see. I'm doing Earthen Vessel first, because this way I'll be able to grab a couple of energies out of the deck and increase my chances of getting the Arven. And first Pokegear, nope. Second Pokegear, let's go. Yeah, alright. So adding those extra Pokegears has definitely made a difference. Precious Trolley, Technical Machine Evolution. Latias, Volcanion. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good to me. And we'll retreat. Volcanion in the active. Fire Energy, Scalding Steam. So Badoo is going to go down with ever having a chance to item lock me. Double evolve Magmar. And now we're doing 80 damage of burn every single turn. And most Dragapult decks don't carry rare candy. They have to evolve through Dragapult, or rather they choose to evolve through Dragapult because Recon Directive helps them get set up. So generally what they want to do is item lock with Itchy Pollen, Recon Directive to draw cards. So not having the item lock and having no other Dreepies puts a lot of pressure on them that they're not usually equipped to deal with. And Halucha, very early Halucha. Don't normally see that come in until it's time for them to take a Dragapult knockout. 10 to Latias makes sense. 10 to Magmortar is meh. Now they've got their own Latias. And okay, so that makes sense now. Halucha is just kind of a... Here, you can take this prize. I don't really need it. It is less valuable to me than the Duskull and the Dracloak. And they're doing Countercatcher. That's smart. They're going to bring up one of the Magmortars because they need 3 energy to attack, 2 energy to retreat. They don't get the benefit of Skyliner. But little do they know, I have Jet Energy. So yeah, we're just going to jet energy on Volcanion, move it back to the active. And I'm going to Hilda. And I'm grabbing this ignition energy, so that way, if for whatever reason I'm not able to move around as easily, I've got an option to use my secondary attack. And I'm going ahead and evolving, because what I don't want to happen is for them to evolve into Dragapult, boss up, or even Countercatcher one of my Numels and knock out the other one, because they could have a Dusclops next turn, they could have Dragapult next turn, and I definitely lost against Dragapult before because they took out both of my Numels. So this preemptive evolution, even though I couldn't use it this turn, helps protect against that. Yep, there's the Dragapult. Ooh, an Iono, that's a good one. Okay. So Iono, of course, my hand gets shuffled at the bottom of my deck. We both get new cards equal to the number of prize cards we have remaining. And unlucky for them, I get Arven and Jet Energy, so I've got plenty to switch with. And yeah, now they're bringing in the Dragapults. Alright, what do you got? So the only thing that's really bad about that is that, of course, the energies I had in my hand and that boss's orders are now at the bottom of my deck, but I'll probably use Arven, because as long as I can get a single fire energy, I'll be able to do my burn and roasting heat combo. Okay, 40 on Camerupt, not sure why. They're still going to need 2 hits to knock it out. I don't know, maybe they're thinking if, they get a Dust Noir plus Phantom Dive, then it's in range. I do have another Earthen Vessel in here. Use that. Discard this. Yep, 2 fires. Scalding Steam. Attach. Retreat. Roasting Heat. And that's a Dragapult down, and only 2 prizes remaining. Okay, and they go into Buddy Buddy Poffin. Badoo is back. There's another Dreepy on the bench. They have 0 energy in play, so at this point they're going to need the Neo Upper energy if they want to have any kind of an attack. If they carry Hilda, they could get Dragapult and the Neo Upper with it. Dragapult does like to come from behind, and they're good at it. Yeah, there's the Hilda. But the problem is, see, he's got 2 Duskulls in play. He's only going to be able to use one of them, so the other one is just kind of taking up space. Because if they blow themselves up twice, they lose. If they blow themselves up once, I only need 1 prize, and I can absolutely knock out just about anything else. So, yep, there's Badoo to stall. And yeah, that item locks me, which was good because I was about to use that Pokegear. And that's the thing, like, I wanted to save it because I didn't need it and I didn't want to get Ionode and then have it sent to the bottom. But also that's the other risk, is if you don't use your items when you can, you might not get to the next turn when you can't. And speaking of Iono, I'm attaching this TM Evolution not because I plan to use it, but because if it goes back in my deck, that's just a card that I don't need anymore, that I'd be drawing back into potentially. So this just helps get it in the discard pile. Burn takes down Badu. And I draw an Arven. Perfect. So in order for them to have any kind of a chance, they have to get Dragapult right now, and there it is. Because with this, they'll be able to take 3 prizes. Volcanion will go down, Numa will go down. And then I've got Camerupt. And pretty much nothing else. I do have Ultra Ball. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what I draw. We'll see what's left in the deck. And with Arven 2, grabbing whatever item I need. I know I'm not getting item locked because they need to take knockouts in order to have a chance. Oh, and Professor's Research. You don't see that too much in Dragapult anymore. Dragapult has gone to basically almost exclusively Lily's Determination because it lets them shuffle their hand instead of discarding their hand. But it's definitely like a pros and cons thing because Lily's Determination, if you haven't taken any prize cards, you shuffle and draw 8. If you have taken any, you shuffle, draw 6. Whereas Professor's Research, discard your hand, draw 7. So there are situations where one is stronger than the other. And I'm putting the Camerupt here because they can't one-shot me. They can no longer blow up, is the thing. Because I'm down to 1 prize, if they use Curse Blast at all, they lose. Night Stretcher for the Volcanion. Jet Energy to move it to the active. Burn. I still have Latias. Pre-retreat. Roasting Heat. And that is game. Alright, so Dragapult is definitely a winnable matchup. As long as things go well and they don't target all of my Numal, we're good. And we do hit 517 Eternatus. It's the highest I've gotten this season, but it is not enough. Alright folks, that is it with Mega Camerupt. So I did decide to just go ahead and end there on a high note. Did get the win, but I was only at 517. I needed to hit 550. So it would have required 3 consecutive wins in about the span of an hour. If I lost any, I would need more wins. If any of my wins took a long time, I wouldn't make it. So it would have been really tight, really difficult. And I decided to just end there because I thought, you know, that was a good match to end on. Also, with ending in the Eternatus tier, it means when I reset, I won't go back down as far as if I were to drop down to back to the Ogerpon tier, because you do reset 8 levels. And so Master League gets you back to Great Ball, and so with Eternatus, I'll be in the upper tier of Pokeball. But anyway, let's talk about kind of what happened there at the end. So I had way more matches than I anticipated. After 10, I was at a 70% win rate, but then, you know, if I had kept that, it wouldn't have taken nearly as long. I would have made it to Master for sure. But the last week, right before reset, is always difficult because you have a lot of people making that final push. And so my win rate kind of leveled out and became more of what I expected. So ended with 15 wins and 17 losses. So I did do 22 more matches after that last update. And a lot of them were losses. The most were losses. So yeah, after winning that last one against Miraidon, I lost to Gardevoir, I lost to Alakazam, then I came back and beat a Joltik box, lost to Dragapult, lost to Mewtwo, And then also lost to Goldango, which I don't think I beat Goldango a single time. That's something that's just really difficult for this deck because Goldango can reach those high numbers. I did take one to the end. They had to draw their entire deck in order to do it, but that's the closest that I got. But talking about wins, I did get a few wins there at the end. So I had a good win against Enzorark. I did beat a Gardevoir. I beat another Charizard. I beat Alakazam finally, but they never evolved past Abra, so I think they either just bricked really hard or they prized their Alakazams. But either way, finally got a win there. And then I ended with 2 wins against Dragapult. One which they conceded early because I just kept knocking out their little guys. And then the last one, which you just saw, was against a Dragapult where I knocked out 2 Dragapults plus some other things to get the win. So overall ending ratio on that one after 32 matches was a 46.88 win rate, and so total after 72 matches 45.83. My only winning ratio of these decks was with Venusaur, the very first deck I used this season. Total after 72 played, and I did not make it to Master League. So it was a tough season, but that's also because I was kind of using what was left over in terms of megas. Mawile, Manectric, Heracross, Camerupt. I think Camerupt was the most fun that I had with those just because of how explosive it can be and how unexpected it is. And with Ascended Heroes now out, we'll have tons more megas to be able to use. So looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the new season.